Etepu, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, Haru Nefer. This is Qesankh with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about our dating and mating habits. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. Also, if you're interested in knowing more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below and click on any one of the links. You can download an ebook for free and start reading it right away. If you want to follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole, all you got to do is become a Patreon supporter and you'll get exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, videos that teach you how to communicate with the ancestors, how to invoke a spirit for your protection, how to do a money ritual, and how to do self-hypnosis to get rid of negative conditionings or habits. Lastly, if you are on a Sarah level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter. You can cancel at any time. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. Haru Nefer, may Buddha bless you, and grand rising. So we have an interesting topic to talk about today, and I'm going to get into that. But first I want to say that every summer I have friends come here to visit me, and they usually stay around a month, 2 months to enjoy Vegas. And a lot of them are looking to hook up with people, with men, women, have a great experience here in Vegas, or fall into a relationship, hopefully a long-lasting one. And so what I do is I kind of take them out. I take them out to the exclusive clubs. I show them like how to approach people and start a conversation, how to build a little social network for themselves while they're here. Some of them are very, very shy and they don't like going up to strange groups or strange individuals and talking to them. So I kind of work with them to break the ice. Sometimes I'll do like hypnosis sessions with them or meditation sessions with them to get rid of the social anxiety. But they love it. They all come and they love it. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because the group the last part of the group had just left over the weekend. So, which gives me some downtime, because literally I was going out every day. I was taking them out every single day because there's so many different clubs in Vegas. And it was a grueling schedule. Imagine having to go to a club every day for 2 months straight. That's what I was doing. And then sometimes getting frustrated because you're teaching people to approach and they're too nervous and afraid to approach someone, you know? I was telling this woman what to do, and it was just too much for her. She couldn't do it. So, you know, we had a good laugh. We laughed it off, and, you know, she gave it her best shot. Luckily, I was able to work with her, and she really got into the whole meditation thing, and she realized how powerful it could be to take away social anxiety. So that's something that's going to benefit her for her entire life, learning those techniques I taught. So I'm bringing this up because now that I have some downtime, if you are interested in breaking through those barriers and getting that area of your life together, meaning meeting someone, having a long relationship, whether it be a monogamous relationship, polygamy, polyamorous relationship, I can help you with that. And I'm doing private one-on-one sessions right now with just a few students. So if you're interested, you should contact me by email, which I will put in the description box. Or in fact, why don't I just put it in the chat right here? That would make a lot of sense. Okay, let me put it in the chat right here. So reach out to me and we can discuss a program that's going to work exclusively for you. There is no like set tuition. It's all based on your needs. Some people don't have as much social anxiety as others. Some people need as much work as others. So I tailor the program according to your needs. For some reason, I deal with a lot of people in Canada, which is great. They're really receptive to these teachings, and you can see it's made a big difference in their lives. So I want to offer that to you if you're really interested in finding the love of your life, a mate, a twin soul, or a twin flame, or a soulmate. Hit me up and let's discuss making this work for you. And this is a skill that I'm going to impart to you that will last for your life. It's not only going to help you with your relationship status, it's going to eliminate anxiety that you may have in talking with your boss or talking with coworkers. It's going to get rid of all of that. And you're going to find yourself being more in charge, more confident, less nervous, more focused on what you want out of life. So it's a really, really great program. It's 6 weeks. So email me and we can talk about bringing you into the program. Next, I got a photo. I actually found this photo online from BGS. And it was interesting. And I kind of posted it on my community tab. So if you haven't seen that yet, go to my community tab and you'll see the photo. But I'm going to bring it up here. So it was posted by BGS, and he was saying that Generation Z has made their decision. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that. Let me show you a photo. Let me just show you. Here's the photo. Here's the photo on my community tab. I hope you can see it there. I will enlarge it. So basically what it is a bunch of high school kids and their dates. And as you can see, the men are all black and the women are all white. I think there's a Latina sprinkled here and there. And the caption is from the great BGS, it's over, folks. Gen Z has spoken. So let me give you some background info on that. And please let me know if the audio is a problem. Because last time I had a very bad audio issue. So let me know if I'm coming in okay. There has been so much issue and strife between black men and black women that the up and coming generation, Gen Z, has made a decision to not get into that so-called gender war and to start dating according to their preferences. And right now, as you see, their preferences are white girls. Now, I think the photo is taken just for shock value. But it communicates a very, very important message and opens the door to a discussion we really need to have. Because as BGS is saying, this Generation Z has spoken about what they want. And I have seen this too. So I jumped on BGS's panel discussion last night, and I actually talked about when I'm traveling, I'm seeing this more and more where you have these young black men who are dating outside their race. Now, the only thing that I'm not seeing with this photograph that should be there is I do see a lot of them going with Latina girls and Asian women. And of course, that's not reflected here, but I do see that. And even BGS agreed that they are also choosing, they're choosing Asian, but he said the Latinas are choosing them. The Latinas are very aggressive and they're going after black men, especially in California. So I found that to be very, very interesting. Now, I want to tell you about a recent call that came up that I was kind of privy to. Let me bring that picture back up. I shouldn't have taken it down. Let me bring that picture back up. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to, let's see if I can do it this way. Yeah. So Byron Allen, you may know him as a stand-up comedian, is said to be a billionaire now. And he was on a Black talk show, radio station, what have you. And he was talking about him buying a news station and the challenges he was facing trying to purchase this news station. So he was taking calls from individuals who wanted to help and who wanted to ask questions. And one caller called in and said to Byron Allen, the quote billionaire, "Why would we support you? You're married to a white woman, and if you die, all your money will go to this white woman." And the host of the show was really upset that this caller said that and was going to hang up on him. But Byron Allen said, no, I'll answer his question. So I'm going to give you my feedback on that. This caller was very rude, inconsiderate, and just basically an idiot. And I'm going to tell you why. He had the opportunity to call in, and he had the ear of a billionaire. And instead of pitching a business idea to Byron Allen, asking for business advice, asking to be, part of an internship program or what have you, this idiot called in to talk about his wife, which was not the subject of the discussion, and none of this caller's business. If I had the ear of Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not going to talk about how this Jewish kid is dating an Asian woman or married to an Asian woman. That's inconsequential. I'm going to pitch to Mark Zuckerberg an idea for a website to see if he would fund it. I'm going to ask Mark Zuckerberg if I could work for him. I'm going to ask him if he can give me some startup capital. But this idiot, obviously calling himself a black nationalist, calls in to say, if your wife dies, your money, if you die, your money's going to your wife. Excuse me. And what Byron Allen said, that is true. It is going to my wife. I'm not going to go more into the conversation on that, but I can remember me studying the Japanese mystical arts of the Kuji Kiri. And my teacher and I were talking, and we happened to go to the local store. And this was a privilege for me, for him to take time to talk to me. And I remember him picking up a Snickers candy bar and him showing it to me and saying, "Qesankh, do you realize that when you purchase the Snickers bar, a certain percentage goes to the mob?" And I was like, "You're kidding me." He goes, "No, the mob gets a cut out of all of this in this store. They don't talk about it, but they do." Now, I knew that the mob had ties with Vegas and construction and the garbage industry, but I didn't know that they're getting a cut of these candy bars. Now, why do I bring that up? Because this so-called black nationalist who doesn't have a pot to piss in, wasn't even employed, doesn't understand how the real world works. You see, when he downloads his app onto his phone, he is supporting white supremacy. If he were to have a job and go to work, he would be supporting white supremacy. If he buys a cup of coffee from Starbucks, he is supporting white supremacy. If he makes a phone call, he is supporting, especially on his iPhone, white supremacy. If he goes to the supermarket to buy vegetables, to buy fruits, he is supporting white supremacy. Yet, like and I don't mean to insult women, but women tend to talk about who is dating who. And I look at this so-called brother as having a feminine trait, because why would you be concerned about who Byron Allen is dating or who he's married to? You need to be more concerned that he is taking his billions of dollars and putting it back into the Black community, which he is. And this is the problem that we're having. And when I do coaching and consultations, I find that a lot of our people are suffering from mental illness. We don't know which way is up or down. And what I came to the understanding fairly recently is that I want no part of the Black nationalist movement, the Hoteppers, the Pan-Africanists, because all these individuals are hypocrites. I have been to their meetings, their lectures, and they are some of the biggest, brokest hypocrites there is. When I studied with Khalid Muhammad, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Dr. Smalls, they would come in and lecture. And I am going to tell you a 100% truth, that when these men would come to lecture, they wouldn't have much money. They would depend on our donations to keep them coming back to lecture. I even went to Dr. Clark's home and I sat down with him and I talked. And these men weren't, he had a brownstone, which was nice, but these men aren't living lavishly. I spoke to Dr. Ben on the phone about the Black nationalist movement. And do you know that when Dr. Ben died, he had no money to bury himself, no insurance. Now, these are the top scholars of the Black nationalist movement. And yet, the majority of them are broke, busted, and disgusted because they have not gotten the support that they should have and respect that they should have from the so-called Hoteppers and Black nationalists and Pan-Africanists. And I made my decision when I was prepping to be a scholar and to study that I wanted no part of this collective movement. And I'm including the Nation of Islam as well, because they were some of the worst, brokest brothers I've ever seen, and uneducated brothers. But yet, these very same brothers want to shame you about who you're dating. I'm going to tell you this, and we'll get into the spiritual ramifications of this so you understand. I'm going to tell you this. There is no way in this world am I going to tell another grown man what he should or should not be doing, especially who he should or should not be dating. That is ridiculous. And I remember when I first started in priesthood, which was right after I had been the captain of one of the Nation of Islam's manhood programs where I taught there. And I came into priesthood. And of course, priesthood was all ADOS or black. And my girlfriend was white. She was Italian. And she would wait for me in the car until I was done with my classes and drive me home, because the area where the temple was vacant. There was no nearby subway system. You know, you couldn't get a cab there. There was no Uber at the time. So she would wait, sit there and wait, because sometimes classes would go hours and hours and there was no really set schedule. So she would just drive me there, wait in the car until I was finished my classes and drive me home. And I noticed that when she would sit in the car, there would be one of the brothers from the temple standing by the car with her all the time. Now, the first time I didn't think nothing of it. But then as the days went on, I saw different brothers standing there by the car, talking to her. So finally, I asked her, I said, why are these guys standing there talking to you? What's going on? She goes, oh, well, they come out all the time to make sure that no crazy person in this neighborhood does anything to me or assaults me. Because the first day, some wino came up to me and almost smashed his bottle on my window. So since then, they've been sending out someone to stand there and make sure nothing happens. And I was like, wow. And that's when I knew I found the right place to study. I want you to understand something very clear. You are consciousness. You are not the physical being. You are not a sex. You are not a race. You are not a nationality. You are not a political affiliation. You are consciousness. Who has been in existence since the beginning of everything. You predate the earth. You predate this universe. You have always existed and always will in some shape or form. And you incarnate into the physical body and become a nationality as a lens and a prism. And that lens, when the light shines through it, may be yellow, may be black, may be orange, may be red. But the key point is you are not the colors of the prism. You are the light shining through it. You are the consciousness. And whatever nationality you are incarnated into, it's merely to have an experience as that individual race. If you are incarnated as an Asian, it's because God wants to experience what it's like to be an Asian. If you are incarnated as a Native American, that's because God wants to experience what it's like to be a Native American. Now, you've had many lifetimes. You've had many loves. Some you lost, some you had a great relationship with until you both died. Some you were tragically separated and must find each other, which is why you have twin flames. But the point I want you to understand, that when you're incarnated into this existence in this lifetime, the only one that can tell you who you should be dating is God. No one else. Because when I'm looking to date, to marry, the first thing I do is do an oracle reading and find out from God if I should pursue this individual. And if God says, yes, pursue that individual, then be damned what anybody else says. I don't care if your mother doesn't approve or your father doesn't approve, if your great-great-granduncle doesn't approve, if the cockroach doesn't approve. If the oracle approves, you listen to the word of God. Because we are brought up in this left brain concrete society, we have adapted the mindset of the oppressor. We have adapted left brain segregative thought process. So all we're looking at is the physical. And that idiot who called in to Byron Allen, all he's looking at is the physical. He doesn't know if Byron Allen went to an oracle and the oracle sanctioned that union. He doesn't know if him and that girl, the woman he's married to, knew each other in a past life and are just picking up where they left off in this lifetime. You see, we claim to be so African, but we don't practice the African principles. And most African cultures had oracles. Even the Greeks and the Romans had oracles. And before you could get into a union with somebody, Heru, Hathor had to bless it via the oracles. But you're so backwards to criticize somebody, yet you'll just go and date some girl because she got a big booty, because she looks good. I don't care what she looks like, because looks can be deceiving. She can look great and then a year from now take you through hell. And a year from now demonstrate that she has a mental illness that you didn't see coming. Demonstrate she had a gambling problem, a drinking problem. But if you did the oracle reading first, you would have known that, because God wouldn't have sanctioned that union. But you're so African, you overlook this aspect. You think you so down with the black nationalist, pan-Africanists, that you forget the idea that we had the oracles, the Ifa, the Medunate. And when you look in the mirror, it turns out you're not as African as you think. You're not as Pan-African as you think. But because the first mistake you did was telling another grown man who he should be dating, as if he's a child. Do you want to wipe his ass too? No. You don't know if that man or woman met that person in a past life and are continuing with their relationship in this lifetime. You don't know that because you're stupid and you've adapted a Western European mindset of concrete thought process. So you judge based on these externals and not based on what an oracle reading said. Tell me the oracle reading that said Byron Allen shouldn't have married his white wife. Tell me that reading. And if you can show me where that reading said that he shouldn't have married his white wife, then we can address that with him. If not, shut up. We're looking at the surface of things. This is why Heru could not defeat Set, because he had to go to Tahuti to get his third eye, to get intuition, to see what couldn't be seen. You don't know if these two individuals were connected in a past life. So therefore, you are not to say anything because they're continuing their relationship in this life. You don't know that if the oracle said she is okay to date outside the race. So don't get in your feelings if she's with a white or Asian man, because the oracle has sanctioned that. And you sick brothers, because you're sick in the head, who try to shame other brothers so that you get some brownie points for women, shame them because they're not dating a black woman. How disgusting of you. How disgusting of you. Being in somebody else's business. Now, I don't agree with this photo. I think it was, again, taken for shock value. To try to go viral. But I understand what they're trying to say with this new Generation Z. You see, the ruling elite has co-opted the minds of a lot of black women. And these black women, not all, are not listening to what black men want. In other words, these black men are saying, we don't want the fake eyelashes. We don't want the weave. We don't want the blonde hair. We don't want the overweight. We don't want the bad attitude. So as a result of not having communication with these brothers and understanding, or at least trying to understand what they want, this new generation of Generation Z just said, forget it. They threw their hands up and said, we're going to date outside the race. Our women are not listening to us as to what we want. We love your natural hair. We don't want the fake eyelashes. We don't want the multicolored outfits. We don't want the weave and blonde hair. I want you to come to the gym with me and work out with me. But they're not listening. So this Generation Z has just thrown up their hands and said, well, we're looking elsewhere for mates now. I posted this on my social media account, and one brother said, oh, they're sellouts. I said, you idiot. And I blocked him. I said, instead of listening to why they're dating these young white girls, instead of trying to find out why they're doing this, you just call them a sellout. Do you think that's going to help? Do you think that's going to open up communication? No, because you're ignorant in saying something like that. And if anybody says that, I want you to unsubscribe from my channel, because I don't go for that white man is the devil, white man's evil. If she's dating outside her race, or he's dating outside his race, they're sellouts. No, you're a sellout for not adapting the African oracle system. You're a sellout for picking your mate based on external things because she looked pretty. You're a sellout because of that. I don't care how pretty she looks. If the oracle says not to get with her, you should not be with her. Yes, it's going to hurt. You're going to cry, but the oracle's only telling you that to avoid difficulties that may come up later on. Do you understand? See, this takes a high level of spiritual development to get. Meaning, the choices in your life have to be sanctioned by God, not you. Now, you can make these decisions on your own when you get to the Ab and the Ba level on the tree of life. But right now, you're nothing but Sahu, the animal spirit. So, what is dictating your actions? Animalistic nature. And until you realize that you are consciousness and not the physical being, you need God to make these decisions for you. I'll say it again. You should not be telling a grown man or woman who they should be dating. Well, Qesankh, but they're going to hurt the race. It's going to water down the race, and there's going to be an end to the black race. Well, that's already here. Since 1973, 20 million black babies were aborted. Let me say it again. Since 1973, 20 million black babies were aborted, mostly black male babies. Interracial relationships count for less than 3% of all relationships. The majority of relationships are between black men and black women. There is no epidemic of interracial relationships, but there's an epidemic of abortions. That's 20 million black boys and girls that cannot be replaced, that we will never ever see again. But yet, instead of addressing that, which should be a national discussion, you want to talk about what's happening with less than 3% of all relationships. You're an idiot. I'll say it again. 97% of all relationships are between black men and black women. They marry one another. 3% date out. Less than 3%. So why are you so concerned about less than 3% and not concerned about the out of control abortion? Where it's mostly black boys. Because you're dumb. You're uneducated. And you're not helping the black race. You don't have a job. You don't have an education. Yeah, sure, you've read Elijah Muhammad's book, Message to the Black Man. It's outdated. Those strategies can't work for today. Please get your act together. I'm so disgusted by what I see in terms of black relationships around me. Most of them are not spiritual. Most of them encounter lots of problems. And I'm going to say this. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. You see, the white oligarchy, has intervened and made sure that there's friction in our relationships. They don't want us procreating. And the way to prevent us from doing that is to create a rift between Black men and Black women. This is what happened about a year ago, which we call the gender war, which is over. And now we've moved on to the problem being as what they call simps. And we talked about that on BGS's panel last night. These simps that are going around shaming Black men for dating outside the race, but don't say nothing when a Black woman dates outside her race. See, they're doing that to get brownie points from Black women. Yes, Queen. Okay, Queen. You're not a queen. When you take on this spiritual religion, it can transform your life and your relationship into something a lot better. And it can prevent what the oligarchy is doing, which is interfering and trying to break up the relationship. But you see, we don't value the Kemetic spiritual way of life. We don't value what's ours. If we had valued what was ours, Dr. Ben Jamakanan would have plenty of money to get buried. We wouldn't have to run around taking donations to bury him. All of these scholars who have given blood, sweat, and tears are broke. All of these scholars who have written numerous books and done tons of research are broke because we have not supported them. This is why the Kemetic spiritual religion or the Kemetic spiritual way of life will eventually be co-opted by the white community. And they will treat it better than we have. They will value it more than we do. Yes, we're fed up with other people stealing our culture. Well, maybe if we valued it, protected it, there wouldn't be a term cultural appropriation. Let me tell you something. I was born in Virginia and lived there for a while. Then my family moved to the South Bronx. And I remember before there was something called rap or hip hop. I remember the DJs coming out into the local park and people gathering there to have the battles with the DJs. I remember that. And now that I'm in Vegas, I am seeing Marshmello, chain smokers, these DJs getting paid tons of money, most of whom are white. And I am in shock. I was like, wait a minute, didn't we start this? Weren't we the ones who started this? We were. But somehow these white boys took it from us and now we're making bank. If we aren't to say queen, what should be said that is appropriate, indicating a form of respect? I've said it a number of times. You are God. You are God man, God woman. That's the truth of who you are. Got my friend Tricky D in the Bronx doing little DJs here and there, and he should be making millions. I said, Tricky, you gotta come to Vegas. There's no black DJs in Vegas. I don't know what happened. I'm not into that whole scene. I don't know the story of how it went from black DJs to these white boys making millions of dollars. And the women are going crazy. Ooh, we're going to see Marshmello. We're going to see Chainsmokers. I'm like, what the hell happened? What the hell happened? You know what I mean? It's because we don't protect and value that which is ours. We're always running to the white oligarchy. The Kemetic religion should be the dominant religion among all black people. All these DJs making millions of dollars should be black. We done let the corporate conglomerate destroy hip hop, destroy rap music. We let them do it. And I want to know who's responsible for doing that. We let them come into our neighborhoods and gentrify it. Who's responsible for that? Y'all worried about Byron Allen having a white wife or some photographs of students with white girlfriends when there's bigger things you need to be worried about? Jehovah's Witness preying upon the poor and disenfranchised, having these black people walk around knocking on doors while the head of the Jehovah's Witnesses are all white. Enough is enough. Frederick Douglass, Nat Turner, great black men who did a lot for our country and for black people, all were into white women. Research it. Nat Turner had a fascination, an obsession with white women. Frederick Douglass was previously married to a white woman. Didn't stop them from engaging in the revolutionary movement, did it? No, they kept it going. So stop worrying about who's dating who and start looking at the bigger picture. Because you're majoring in the minors. And when you do that, you lose all the time. Listen, hit the like button. If you've liked this video, please donate to the channel. Your donations are always appreciated. This is Qesankh Ma Keperu son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, Amen Ra.